Today we are going to discuss about exercise and compare it with enhanced external counterpulsation, a passive exercise treatment for patients who cannot able to do exercise or to stimulate exercise effect in people who want to achieve a higher exercise limit. When you talk about health or wellness, physical activity and exercise is a very important integral part of the health. So without doing exercise, achieving health is nearly impossible. If exercise is so important, then what is a recommendation of how much exercise we should achieve every day to achieve optimal health? Now, this question has never been answered. The reason is, even though there are some recommendation available, there is no clear recommendation currently available to say this is the exercise you should be able to do every day to achieve wellness or healthy life. In fact, American Heart Association has given a recommendation of 150 minutes of exercise per week. So it roughly falls around 20 minutes per day of brisk exercise or a moderate exercise. So a moderate exercise is defined as you should be able to do a brisk walking for 20 minutes, or it should be a swimming or a jogging or any activities which is in a moderate level. But at the same time, they are very, very critical not going to an aggressive exercise or excessive exercise. Pushing yourself to do like a marathon for 40 to 50 kilometers, these are all considered as a very, very aggressive exertion. And there are some data to show if you push from moderate to high intensity exercise, this high intensity exercise for a long period of time, in fact, can be counterproductive. The main reason we do exercise in moderation is to prevent death. We call it as an all-cause mortality. Exercise has directly shown to reduce your chances of getting heart attack, stroke, and not only cardiovascular but also all-cause mortality. It means it can boost your immunity, so it can able to prevent your death because of infection, or it can able to reduce your chances of getting certain kind of cancer, so that it can prolong your life. So altogether, exercise is an important component to prolong life or longevity. So what is the reason from moderate, if you can go to the aggressive exercise, what is the complication? If you do a very strenuous exercise, it could be counterproductive. Rather than saving life, it can actually increase your chances of death. The reason is, when you do aggressive exercise for a long period of time, your heart muscle is become thicker and thicker. We call it as hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy. The muscle becomes so thick, so the outflow obstruction. So when the heart pumps, the blood is not get out of the heart because of the muscles are so thick. So when the muscles become so thick, then there is another problem. It interferes with your rhythm. The heart has its intrinsic rhythm. When the rhythm is disturbed, then what happens? It causes arrhythmias. This arrhythmia can cause us death. So this is why we want to make sure the exercise is moderate. It could not be sedentary, it could not be very aggressive, it could be moderate. Now, as you know, the American Heart Association, as I said earlier, it has prescribed around 150 minutes per week. Would that really sufficient? If 20 minutes of exercise is what it's required to preserve health, we don't know that yet. To know the answer, if you look at our history, the genomic history, humans have evolved millions of years ago, but for the past 40,000 years, our genome have not changed. If the genome have not changed, it means the exercise ability, the genes are the one who control your physiology and your anatomy. So basically it means your exercise activity, which is prehistoric or 40,000 years ago, what our ancestor does, could be the normal exercise tolerance to achieve good health. If you want to look at what would be the exercise tolerance in our ancestor, then it comes as we can take a clue from earlier human beings are just hunters and gatherers of food. So they have to spend the total expenditure of energy is approximately calculated as 17 kilocalorie per kg per day. So if you are a 70 kg man in the ancient times or in the prehistoric, about 40,000 years ago, they would be at least walking 19 kilometers per day. Now, if you look at this exercise tolerance of 19 kilometers a day and then come to the current recommendation, I mean, you can obviously see there is a huge gap. And maybe this is a gap which makes us more prone for lifestyle disease and cardiovascular disease. And coming to the current century, when you see this gap of exercise tolerance or physical activity, the industry start responding to it by trying to fill in the gap. So the industry try to fill in the gap by two ways. One is gym. So gyms are started throughout the world so that the people with sedentary activity or who are not able to do the exercise up to the limit, which could be helpful for them to prevent death. And these people are asked to do exercise in a controlled environment. This is called gym, so that their exercise tolerance can be improved. Well, this gym is becoming a multi-billion-dollar industry. In 2017, it is calculated to be around $33 billion industry, growing at the rate of 2% per annum. Parallelly, when we talk about gym, there is another parallel industry which started, which is called supplement industry. So supplements are basically product which are given along with your regular diet, with the assumption that your regular diet are not rich in certain vitamin or minerals or herbs or enzymes or amino acid. So we try to replace this with a higher amount of these compounds so that your diet can be adequate and your health can be maintained or wellness can be established. Now the problem is, if you look at this, this industry, which is a supplement industry, it is 4 to 5 times bigger than the gym. In 2018, it has been estimated it is a $124 billion industry and is growing at the rate of 6% per annum. So by 2026, it is estimated it could be a $210.3 billion industry. Now both this food industry and gym industry trying to help people to establish wellness through artificial means. In fact, as the industry getting bigger and bigger, multiple studies started coming out to show whether these supplements are really good for health. Initially, smaller studies have clearly shown these supplements can help people to preserve wellness. It's very good, it's fantastic. But as the industry grows, when larger trials started coming up with a longer follow-up trial and more control, randomized control trial came down, many of these vitamins or minerals or enzymes and amino acid failed to show any mortality benefit. For example, if you want to pick up two important vitamins which has been prescribed very often to prevent your cardiovascular death, prevent death because of heart attack and stroke, vitamin D and omega-3 fatty acid, earlier studies have shown it has a significant effect on death. It can reduce the mortality. But when you come to the bigger trial, longer follow-up and randomized control trial, they fail to show that they did have any effect on the mortality. Now, we tend to learn a lesson. Yes, vitamin supplementation is important, but as long as you are not become active, unless your sheet anchor, your base should be exercise. If you don't do adequate exercise, taking excess vitamins or minerals or amino acid or enzymes may not help you to prevent death. So exercise is a very important integral component and it is a base for your health. Now, let's go to actual what is this exercise is all about. So what is the difference between a person who is doing active exercise or a moderate exercise which is adequate for him to protect his health and compare it with people who don't do exercise? If you want to look at the exercise effect, the exercise physiology is a very complex because it involves cardiovascular system, your nervous system, and involve multiple organ and lot of pathways involving hormones and chemicals. To make it simple, let us assume the effect of exercise in 3 levels. One is the peripheral training effect of exercise, central training effect of exercise, and then the third is a synchronization. So if a person is doing an adequate exercise which is supposed to be to maintain his health, then what happens is his body start responding to this exercise. So basically you are upright, so you have a strong muscle in your lower leg. During exercise, this muscle contracts. So when the muscle contracts, the blood vessel deep inside the muscles are squeezed and the blood is pushed again towards your heart and towards all your organs. So most of the organs, they started getting more blood supply during your exercise because of the strong contraction of the muscles, not only your leg but also in your abdomen and your upper leg. When it contracts your blood vessel, particularly your arteries. So when they contracts and relaxes, it causes like a pulsatile. So this pulsatile contraction and relaxation makes the arteries to relax and dilates. This is called the periphery training effect. When the vessels dilate, it helps the patient not to achieve higher pressure. So the pressure won't go up, but the flow is maintained. So this is how the vessel reacted to the exercise. And it's actually a very interesting phenomena. Your blood vessel throughout your body has sensor. So when you do exercise, your blood vessel knows that you're doing some exercise or exertion because the blood flow across the vessel wall will cause friction. And when the friction is increases, your blood vessel can sense you're doing exercise and it releases a lot of chemicals, or we call it as a signaling pathway, which can help to dilate the vessel. So dilation of the vessel, it's called the peripheral training effect. People who does exercise can able to dilate the vessel easy, and then it's called, they make the vessel elastics. So when the vessel has become elastic, when even they do aggressive exercise, the pressure doesn't shoot up. So this is a peripheral training. Now next, let's go to the central training effect.